My name is Winston Takin. Let's now settle for the details. The Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi, has dismissed trading losses recorded under the Gold for Reserves program following concerns raised by the International Monetary Fund over potential risks to the financial sector. He made the remarks during the appearance on the Newsfire program earlier today.
Mismanaged. That is not it. When we say G4R losses, let me explain to you. From 1957 to date, gold is bought in the gold market in Ghana at retail market exchange rate.
You said that already.
The euphemism for black market. Now, Bank of Ghana and Gold Board, we are buying gold from a non-bank market, which is a market made up of small-scale miners and gold dealers. And when we go, we have to buy the gold at that retail market exchange rate. Gold Board has sought to bring it to interbank. But anytime we peg the price to interbank, we realize that prices in neighboring countries like Cote d'Ivoire become higher than ours by, say, 600 cedis per pound. So all the gold goes to Cote d'Ivoire. And sometimes smugglers are offering prices at informal retail rates. So your interbank rate will not get you any gold. So when we buy the gold at the retail market exchange rates, and Bank of Ghana gets the dollar proceeds, the accountant and auditor comes to audit their books. The accountant must now convert the dollar inflow into cedis. The dollar is not really converted into cedis, but for accounting purposes, it must be converted into cedis because Bank of Ghana's books are in cedis. When the accountant is converted, the accountant says, my hands are tied. I know that the acquisition rate of the dollar is retail market exchange rate. But by law, because you are the central bank, I can only convert the dollars at interbank or BOG rate, which is always lower. So that creates an exchange rate translational difference because Bank of Ghana is acquiring dollars at retail market rate and converting at interbank for accounting purposes. That is 97% of the losses people are talking about. Then number two, let me tell you the second part of the loss. Bank of Ghana says, by policy design, I want to buy gold at spot to fend off smugglers and make sure that what happened in 2021 when gold output, export output declined from 39.3 tons to 3.4 tons, I don't have that situation on my hand. I need the dollars. Because of that, Bank of Ghana incurs about 2.3% cost. What does this cost? Offtake discount, which under MPP used to be at some point 2.2, came down to 1.25 in late 2024, and now Governor CMR has brought it to 1.1, the offtake discount. Gold board fees, and of course, purity losses. Purity loss basically means that as a country, since time immemorial, we don't do the golden standard of assay to determine purity of gold. What we do is SRF, which is only indicative. But when the international buyer buys the gold, he must subject it to the golden standard of fire assay. That creates a purity difference, and that can cause a loss. That is what we are talking about here. So an accountant is right to pick that and say, from a pure, plain vanilla, accounting perspective, I mean, you've made an accounting loss. But it is, like I said, an intentional, strategic, economic policy cost for superior benefits. Now, is there any way to reduce it? Emphatically, yes. Because we are not throwing our hands in the space and say, oh, this is policy design. So at all times, we will incur costs. But first of all, let me even acknowledge that if what the MPP and the IMF are saying,
no, please, this was what
I was told, that I will be giving you 1 hour for a one-on-one.
He's insisting on the 1 hour.
And I started at 8:50. I'm 7 minutes away from my 1 hour. So let me finish. I'll sit here and listen to you.
I'm going to get them.
So
the rest of the time, you guys.
It's for you, and we are closing at 12, senior. So
no, we have 3 other topics. That's the issue.
Okay.
Unless one cancel.
There are not 3.
Only one
other, apart from this one.
Okay. That was
what is what's the point I was really making? They've distorted my. I was saying before them to reduce. Yes. You see, under the G4R program, cost is the necessary evil for national economic stability, and the BOG is not a good trading organization, so it doesn't hedge. Okay, it doesn't engage in hedging and all that. So it is unable to take advantage of potential increases in world market price. But under the new gold board model, which we are rolling out in 2026, where gold board will be the buyer and also the seller, because currently we are not the seller. BOG is the seller. We are just their agents, and we are paid fees for that. Okay, we will be able to go into effective trading to be able to take advantage of potential increases in global prices. Aside that, the BOG is having a very important conversation with fiscal authorities. You're talking about the finance ministry. Now look, as central bank, we know that this is our role. This is our work. We need to do this. But let's have some burden sharing about the cost, because the cost is a necessary evil for the economic stability that we all need, which you, the fiscal authorities, even benefit more from. So can you absorb the cost in your budget? That conversation is going on. That has been the IMF's main concern. Look, people claim, sometimes create the impression that is very unfair to the IMF. They create the impression as though the IMF thinks that what we are doing is wrong. This is what the IMF said at paragraph.
Meanwhile, Honorary Vice President of Imani Africa, Bryce Simmons, has questioned the efficiency of the program, echoing concerns raised by the International Monetary Fund.
There will have been problems in the country in respect of fuel price, and will have had cascading effects. And they were in government and they had the policy privilege to determine that that was the benefit. We fought against it because we had a different perspective around the efficiency of it. And therefore, we cannot, in the next moment, argue that because the government has been able to show certain benefits in respect of these gold programs, the government is not responsible for accounting for the efficiency of those programs. In fact, the current government has been emphatic that as far as they are concerned, go for oil was a problem. And they've cancelled it. That tells you that in the span of 2 governments, policy positions can change. And therefore, it's very surprising when we raise issues about the current gold program, and we say we also believe the current gold program is inefficient, and they argue that that particular position cannot be taken because the last time we were talking about inefficiency in gold for oil and the rest of it, that was a different matter entirely. It can be a different matter entirely. There are similar logics around fiscal subsidies of this nature. We shouldn't look only at the battle around the $240 million as exhaustive of the issues that are at play. Let me give a very interesting hypothetical scenario. If you have a non-transparent system, we don't know how the losses appear. The CEO of the entity responsible won't even acknowledge their losses. And then the next moment he says, maybe there are some costs somewhere. And it's all murky. Here's a potential risk. The risk that emerge.
Oh, man. No, relax. Relax.
That's what we do a lot of times. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Allow me to speak. Let me give you a very hypothetical scenario. Imagine that tomorrow, some off-taker, somebody in Ghana, goes and sits in India and registers a company. And that company becomes an off-taker. Today, we don't disclose the off-takers to us. We have had to do our own research to find out who the off-takers are and the rest of them, because they don't publish them. And then that off-taker is some Ghanaian person. He's sitting there in India. He has the means to, acquire USD because there's almost a guarantee that he make profit, and I'll explain how that matters. And then you give the person a discount, and then you give the person room to manipulate purity, resource, and the likes of it. And you give them room for all these other potential deficiencies. I'm going to explain something very carefully. Ultimately, when you send the gold to that person will end up making a significant profit. And that's what people are not paying attention to. What, from our point of view, is a discount, from the point of view of the other person, the counterparty, it's an implied premium. It's a kind of profit for them. So if, for instance, their real costs, in terms of their financing cost, in terms of their asset cost, etc., was 1%. But somehow we collaborate and we collude and we make it 3%. And we pay them the 3% discount. From that person's point of view, that's a 2% profit. It's a very simple symmetrical balance. So in those circumstances, we are interested in understanding the full chain of where the potential losses may arise, which is why we have to stop this sophistry around whether or not they were lost or not, because there is no doubt that when it comes to the gold that we get and we benchmark it against world prices, and the money that comes back in terms of dollars is not equivalent. There's no doubt about that. The IMF insists that we should call it trading losses. We did not use that term. You've read the IMF review yourself. In connection with Article 4 and other type consultations, It's a worldwide treaty which makes the IMF, give the IMF the rights to come into our country. People think it's only because we've gone for ECF and things like that, and therefore who's the IMF to come and tell us? People don't understand it. The IMF is a treaty organization. We as a country are members of the IMF. We are the ones who, as part of the treaty, has allowed the IMF to come into our country and look into things. Countries in the world who are not on IMF programs like ECF and the like, through the consultation process mechanism of Article 4, still allow IMF to come in. So even if you are a rich country or whatever, it doesn't make a difference. As long as we are part of that treaty organization, the IMF surveillance function applies. So the IMF has the right to go to any country in the world, look at the way you run your economy, and write whatever they want, so long as it's reasonable and within the engagement that they have with authorities. This document that you see was a product primarily of the interaction between IMF and authorities. The IMF looked very carefully at the data and concluded that there were trading losses. You cannot all of a sudden convert a trading loss into something that's a purely administrative matter. A trading loss means it's a commercial loss. It means that you bought a good at a certain price, you do not realize that price in the end of the cycle. Nothing else will be a trading loss. Anybody who can convince you that a trading loss is something other than a commercial loss is simply being sophisticated about it. Because a trading loss will only arise on the buy and the sell side. So after the IMF have done that work and concluded there's a trading loss, they have gone back and forth with authorities. They finally written a report, which usually would not be done on the blind side of the authorities. We now come back and try and convince the whole country that there were no trading losses. That's why we have a difference of opinion with our very good and honorable friend sitting next to us. And he has acknowledged that the trading loss phrase was used in the report. The only person doing trading in this situation is the person licensing people to go and buy, and the person that is exporting that activity, only subject to the extent that he claims is the Bank of Ghana who chooses the off-takers. We don't know. If it's the Bank of Ghana that chooses the off-takers, if it's the Bank of Ghana that negotiates with the off-takers the discount mechanisms and the rest of it, then it's a shared blame. Because it means that one is responsible on the buying side, and whatever discounts and premium I apply on the buying side, and one is responsible on the selling side, whatever discounts or premium I apply on the selling side. At the very least, it's a joint effort. Now, so we are concerned about, obviously, the...
Bryce Simmons further rejected the assertion that a gold board is the primary driver of the Ghana city stability in 2025.
How much of it should we give to the fiscal consolidation program? The fact that my very good friend Honorable Atufo is not spending as much as he should because of arrests keep piling up still. How much, and that is obviously have an effect in terms of stabilizing the currency because of the inflationary channel. How much should we give to the fact that we did a domestic debt restructuring program and therefore our debt servicing cost by itself, because you give people haircuts, so you're not paying as much. How much we attribute to that? We just saw the very good, the very honorable gentleman suggest that our debt servicing cost, our debt to GDP, all those benefits are somehow gold board benefits. Forgetting that we did give haircut to people around this country to reduce how much the government owes people and to reduce how much the government uses to service. You remember that game? How much we attribute to that? You remember very much that. No, give me time. Remember that we've created a set of situations in this country where we've been shut out from the international capital market. So our ability to borrow internationally has been constrained.
Yeah.
How much we attribute to that in terms of the reduction, in terms of the accumulation of debt? There are so many contributory factors. On exchange rate alone, there is a group called Consensus Economics that does a worldwide survey of economists. And they each indicate which of the matters that they consider important for the exchange rate in their own country. I have counted 15 priority channels beyond reserves. So to argue that because reserves capacity has increased through gold board intervention, that reserve capacity alone for interventions is the only way the exchange rate will improve. It doesn't make sense because we've always had interventions and then sometimes they are not, the resources are not sufficient because the amount of gold dollars was not enough. In this case, the price of gold has increased. So the price of gold increase itself must be accounted for as part of calculating the reserve intervention capacity.
Also, Member of Parliament for Wale Wale and a Member of Finance Committee, Dr. Muhammad Kabir Rutia, has emphasized that Gold Board was established to operate as a quasi-private entity with a clear mandate to generate profit.
When we're discussing the law, we raise an issue. Look, why can a regulator be the same as a participant? If you want, provide a special purpose vehicle or introduce a company, incorporate a company that will be interested in the dealing, in the trade aspect, whilst Gold Board does the regulatory aspect of the work. They did not listen and they proceeded well. So clearly, We don't think that, and I don't think that the explanation provided to suggest that we should accept Bower Rock as a company so properly incorporated, which is true, and that has the requisite experience in order to support this particular transaction of actually mortgaging the resources of our country to one company, and all other companies are at their detriment or their peril, is not something that we should condone as a country. Now, let's even talk of Gold Board as a company. He says that the design of Gold Board was not to make profit. When we agreed to even give them a seed capital of 2.5 billion, the essence was that it was to be refunded. That's one. The essence was that Gold Board was to make profit, and he called it surpluses. And if you want to understand better, go and read section 16 to 20 of the Act and the financial matters. Clearly, this is a fund that is not going to be charged on the consolidated fund. All expenses of the Gold Board, within the contemplation of the lawmakers, we made the law. We never contemplated a situation where expenses of Gold Board will be charged on the consolidated fund.
What does that mean?
What it essentially means that it was supposed to be a private, pseudo-private or quasi-private institution, self-sustaining and making profits. So in nowhere within the contemplation of the law, and people say that Gold Board is not designed to make profit and is supposed to, serve a certain good, and that if it makes losses, it's okay. I don't even think that it is acceptable for anyone to entertain such a discussion, because when we made the law, it was clear that Gold Board is supposed to be financial viable. And he reported, and I can quote him, Mr. Senyahosi stated that Gold Board will not be like Cocoa Board. He stated in an interview, and he stated that because of the regulatory framework and because underlying is financial sensitive.
Absolutely.
Okay, so basically, all this discussion of trying to make Gold Board as if you cannot say that. Financial sustainability of the operation of Gold Board is something that is not significant to the extent that we are getting 10 billion. Basically, that's the argument they are making.
Moving away from that, believers of the Islamic faith in Ho are divided over a directive by the Volta Regional Security Council to close down the Ho Central Mosque temporarily. This was arrived at after extensive meetings and consultations by the council following a gunshot incident at the mosque on December 26, 2025. There is more in the following report by Fred Kwame Asare.
The Ho Muslim community had witnessed a protracted conflict for about 5 years over who become the Volta Regional Chief Imam. The community has therefore been divided into two, with each part owing allegiance to Alhaji Alfa Hamis and Alhaji Muniru Ali, who are both claiming to be the Volta Regional Chief Imam. 26 December 2025 witnessed a tragic incident of a gunshot in the Central Mosque linked to the chieftaincy in Peace. 11 people were reported to have suffered gunshot wounds, and some 14 people were arrested in connection with the incident but were later released from custody.
The 14 people that were arrested, some of them were people who were assaulted by the other faction when the military and the police arrived. So through investigation, they've seen the videos, and then they have been in custody for over 48 hours, and then they have been granted bail to reappear.
The Volta Regional Security Council later closed down the Central Mosque, declaring it as a crime scene and placed it under high security. The announcement was welcomed with mixed reactions from the Ho Zongo community, compelling Alhaji Alfa Anas Hamid and his followers to worship in an open space under tents.
You wanted to be a leader. You wanted to be a leader by force. So you kill your fellow Muslims. That who are you going to lead? We are calling on the Al-Sunnah, Tijaniya, Ahmadiyya Muslims, Ghana Muslim Mission to advise our authorities they should leave the Islam alone. Come, and the law is they should arrest them so that the peace will be there. Yeah. Not to close the mosque, not to sack people from the mosque. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge everybody on what he did in this life.
The spokesperson for Alhaji Muniru Ali, Chief Adamu Hamani, however, welcomed the decision to close the mosque, urging the authorities to fast-track their investigations. Community members have lamented the heightened tension over the period, indicating their lives are at risk. They have therefore requested the authorities to quickly find an amicable and permanent solution to the conflict.
In case our parents are being killed, we'll become orphans. I'm a student. We'll resume school next week. I have to pay my school fees. In case my dad was shot dead last week, I don't have anybody to take off my school fees. I remain orphan and I have to suffer. I need to defend my cause because I can't pay my school fees. So we plead on the government to find a proper solution to our problems. Thank you.
It didn't happen. 1 week, casualty, even dogs or chickens, when they shoot them, you will look for them. People had gun, these things in their legs, bullets in their legs. No, none of them. The MC is not here, the minister is not here, the MP is not here. Nobody visited them. And they are telling us that NDC is not amongst.
It is alleged that Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News.
The principal of Commander College of Education, Very Reverend Professor Kwesi Inkum Wilson, has raised concern over the poor basic education certificate examination BEC result in part of the Commander Edina Iguafo Ibrim, that is KEEA municipality, urging targeted interventions to reverse the trend. Speaking to Joy News at the closing of the 2025 Teens Camp, he noted that the talent displayed by participants stood in stark contrast to the widespread underperformance in the area, suggesting that well-structured tutor workshop could play a key role in improving future outcomes.
The Commander College of Education successfully concluded its 14-day Maiden Teens Camp 2025, which brought together over 300 Basic 8 pupils from various schools within the Commander Dinegwa Fabrem and Infantiman municipalities. Speaking to Joy News during the closing ceremony, the principal of the college, Very Reverend Professor Kwesi Inkum Wilson, while expressing admiration for the talents displayed by the campus, questioned how such potential aligned with poor BCE performance recorded in parts of the KEA municipality, stressing the need for deliberate interventions.
No, the potentials are great. It's for another discussion, maybe another platform. But I need to ask certain questions. If that is the talent we have in our basic schools, how come that the performance at the BEC, it doesn't show? I will meet the directors, I will meet the CISOs to ask them. After this, we would invite the teachers of English language, right? The next level, within the academic year, we would invite them for a day or 2 days workshop to also sharpen their skills. This, what they displayed here, I'm totally overwhelmed. Listening to these children from Saito read, speak, extempo. Most of the time after program, I just call you, come and give vote of thanks. And the confidence, they will not run away. They would take the mic and speak as if they have been prepared. There are a lot of bundles, talents that I think we must unearth. And I'm appealing to our teachers in the classroom to go the extra mile. These children are not that bad. My vision is to reduce the aggregate at BEC to single digits, whichever it is. But I asked some schools, 24, 16, 14, no. As a professional, no, I don't accept that. We need to reduce it. We are praying that next year we can start the planning early. Then we would target specific people to come on board to help us.
Meanwhile, the assistant coordinator of the camp, Daniel Inkum, highlighted some challenges encountered during the program.
Some of them had a challenge, difficulty reading, but they have improved. So in all, it has been a good experience, and we wish this will continue to stay. I think our sponsors will be very grateful if they continue to help us, so that this one will be an ongoing thing, an annual program. We'll be very grateful for that.
For many of the campus, The experience proved eye-opening and transformative. Some of them spoke to Joy News.
As I came here, first I only knew about only one type of comprehension. That was reading comprehension. But now they taught me about listening comprehension and how to answer comprehension questions well. They introduced to me a new topic called scanning, and close reading. And this aspect, it will help me improve my comprehension answering very well.
And I'm proud of being here, because being here is like staying with my parents at home. We are not left alone. We have the camp assistants and we sleep with them. They protect us and guide us. And I have experienced to stay with SHS here. My sisters come home saying that SHS is good. Yes, I have experienced some.
From Commander, Abigail Lissel and Nkrumah reports for Joy News.
Away from that, 3 suspected drug peddlers have been arrested in Tamale during a special police operation. The suspects were picked up with substance believed to be heroin, tramadol, and Indian hemp. The operation forms part of enhanced security measures to clamp down on crime in the region. Police say they remain determined to make Tamale safer. Northern Regional Correspondent Martina Bugri reports.
Good afternoon, sir. IGP Special Operation New Year Parade Thunder. Number on roll 105. Number present 105. May I have your permission to stand them at ease for your briefing? Inspector Aglepe Marina Yao reporting, sir.
The IGP Special Operations Team has been working tirelessly since November to keep Tamale and the northern region safe. Led by DSP Bawa Abdul Jalil, the team has been conducting routine patrols across the metropolis and some districts targeting crime hotspots and vulnerable areas. The operation last night was part of New Year's security measures aimed to curb crimes like robbery, theft, and attack on people who are celebrating their activities. Speaking before the departure of the team, DSP Abdul Jalil urged his team to continue to live up to expectation.
We started this last year with a lot of people, but they could not make it up to this year. Having made it up to this year is a clear indication that we need to give thanks and praises to the Almighty for how far He has brought us. I believe and pray we will continue to put up our best. The good Lord will continue to give us the strength, all the necessary strategies that will continue to guide us in our executions of duties, and as far as the police duties are concerned. We have a long way to go. They give us the next 2 years to still work hard for the Inspector General of Police.
Speaking after the operations, DSP Bawa Abdul Jalil called on all to join in the fight against crime, adding that the fight against crime is a collective action.
We had intelligence that the group of criminals that we have chased out of this forest are regrouping again. And it was necessary for the team to bounce on them. Having bounced on them in the forest, on our way coming to the forest, I think some people started sending signals to them. We gave them a horse chase. Some of them ran and then left the tricycles, popularly known as Yellow Yellow. And the team, upon all effort to make sure that the tricycles park through futile, and then we had no option than to force and then put it into our pickup. Even putting our pickup, we broke one of our navigators. I think basically we just want to send a warning to the people within this area. It is their responsibility to also make sure that at any point in time they don't allow this regrouping again. We have said it time and again. Security is a shared responsibility. It is a responsibility of everybody. In as far as the police, we are trying to make sure we destabilize this criminal gang in this area. It is also the responsibility of the people within the area. Having done this scatter and then they have left, they shouldn't allow anybody to come again. Even though we are still within this jurisdiction, we are also appealing to them. They should also come out as responsible citizens to make sure that they also secure the area.
The police have arrested 3 suspects linked to a series of robberies in Ifeanya, Atadeka, Apollonia, and surrounding communities. One of the suspects confessed to committing multiple robberies and named his accomplices. Police used this information to track down and arrest 2 more suspects at their hideouts. A search of their residence recovered a pump-action gun, a pistol, ammunition, and other items. All 3 suspects are now in custody, assisting police with investigations. Authorities say efforts continue to dismantle the entire robbery network and bring all involved to justice are underway. We have more news for you right after this break. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Newsroom. My name is Winston Take. To more news. The streets of Abakrampa were lit up this morning with excitement, joy and hope as EPA CEO Professor Nana Ama Brown Kluche was installed as Queen Mother Mpuntu Hima of the Ibra traditional area in a colorful display of rich Fanti culture filled with glitz and glamour under the stool name Ama Kumi I. Here are insights and sound from the street of Abakrampa into the central region. Now, away from that, the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat carried out a major raid on Galamsey activities along the Ankobra River. The operation on 31st December targeted illegal mining sites at Gwera Banso in the western and western north regions. Illegal miners fled as the task force arrived, leaving behind dredging equipment, some farm machines and water pumps. Several makeshift structures along the riverbanks were destroyed during the operation. Authorities say the raid is part of ongoing effort to protect the Ankobra River and its environment.
Now, water bodies. So many of them have been enclosed by the illegal miners. So many of our water bodies have been diverted.
Meanwhile, coordinator of Eco-Conscious Citizen Awila Sewa is urging that the National Anti-Illegal Mining Operations Secretariat be better equipped to tackle persistent galamsey as well as protect forest reserves and water bodies such as the Ankobro River. She spoke on the pause.
Lemos is doing its best, but it needs to be better resolved. And we need to do some shock and awe. The forestry commission to be well equipped to be dealing with the illegal miners in the forest reserve. Lemos to have the support of perhaps the Navy and the armed forces, the army, so that they can have more activity on our water bodies. So many of them have been enclosed by the illegal miners. So many of our water bodies have been diverted. And we need to remove the champan. So the point I'm making is that Lemos needs to be better resolved, to have more boots on the ground, so that they can be taking various areas simultaneously. As it is, they are doing their best with the tools that they have, but it's not enough. Look at it this way. There are 1,000 fires raging at the same time. They are dealing with one at a time. But we need more fire engines. We need more resources so that we can deal with more of the fires at the same time, because time is not on our side.
In another development, living in deprived communities without access to basic amenities could be biting and potentially endanger lives. This is the reality of some communities in the Banda district, where health, education, electricity, and a reliable communication network are lacking. However, there could be an improved, as the local government minister and member of parliament for Banda, Ahmed Ibrahim, gives assurances to address these development challenges. Precious Semevo has more.
Challenges confronting communities such as Nipa Nikro, Surubokro, Fauman, Nyere, Makala, and Kanka in the Banda district are largely the same. A lack of basic infrastructure needed to improve living standards. While some communities have no schools or healthcare facilities, every home has rechargeable batteries and mini solar panels. Some residents share their frustrations.
Light pan here some and a school and a public toilets.
You need health facility bia ewa Chief compound has said obi area obi timiako na yahwe.
The assemblyman for Fauman electoral area, Felix Kwesisie, also laments the dangers of not being able to call for help during emergencies and appeals for help.
We have network problem. If maybe in the midnight something happened here, no one can get even network to consult the assemblyman to call police or and say where I stay there's no network. So it will be very difficult if there's something here critical. The people will get contact to me or the police to assist them. So I plead to the government that they should come to our aid to help us such a way that the living standard of my people will even come normal.
The concerns were raised during a Thanksgiving tour where the MP and Minister of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs, Ahmed Ibrahim, also explained ongoing and planned projects aimed at accelerating development across the district. He stated that the district didn't receive its fair share of development during the previous administration. He, however, assured the residents of steps to satisfy their needs.
The electricity extension is not a challenge. The schools they are asking for is not a challenge. The public toilet they are asking for is also not a challenge. That's why I collected all the requests and promised my DC that let's go and sit down. All these things we can do them. That is my type of leadership. I'll request your needs, I will engage you and make sure I satisfy your needs. And leadership is about satisfaction of basic needs. Once you're able to meet their needs, they also remember you.
On the communication challenges, he said the sector minister awaits a formal request to help improve the situation.
The whole place on this road was like that. But I helped install one at Farmine. So that is what they are using at Nyere and Farmine. But from there, the network is down. I wanted to go through that road and get the other communities in addition to Banasebi. So the Minister for Communication will get the request, and once he gets it, I think that is the only area where we have network challenge. It will be sorted out.
Precious Semevo, Joy News, Banda.
The Northern Regional Chairman of the Poultry Farmers Association says women's participation in the poultry industry remains very low. Mr. Razak Wumpini reveals that fewer than 20% of the 1,500 poultry farmers in the region are women. He's calling for more support to encourage women into the sector. Atina Bugiri reports.
The training partnership between Afritech Hub, Social Enterprise Ghana, and World University Service of Canada aim to equip the women with the necessary skills to venture into poultry farming and contribute to the sector's growth. Speaking at the graduation ceremony, Northern Regional Chairman of the Poultry Farmers Association, Razak Abdul Jalil Wumpini, emphasized the importance of increasing women participation in poultry farming.
It's a region. We have close to about 1,500 farmers. Out of the 1,500 farmers, women poultry farmers are less than 20%. 20%. So that tells us that we need to empower women to get involved in poultry production or poultry farming. As a woman, even if you can't get the capital, because I know it's capital intensive. You know, I heard they said it is started small. It is capital intensive. You can still go to train people with the knowledge you have gotten. Go to train other women so that more women will enroll onto this program.
The executive director of Afritech Hub, Dr. Arnold Mashu, said the organization plans to train a further 80 women with over 2,300 women in their database awaiting training.
2 weeks back, we got them to process the chicken into different products for the market, and then they actually went out there to sell. So to use the marketing skills that we gave them to sell. So it's part of the training, and we are so much excited that at least we've been able to write to have a success story with these women. And I'm very optimistic that they will go far with the skills that will be imparted on them. As we speak, we have over 2,300 in our database that are waiting to be trained. So after this particular cohort, we'll be rolling out the next cohort, cohort 3, somewhere February. So February, we intend to take 80 more to see how we can be able to take them through another 3 months of intensive training.
The graduates expressed their gratitude to Afritech Hub for the opportunity, which they say will help them improve their livelihood and contribute to the growth of the poultry industry.
Honestly, we didn't know anything about poultry, but coming here, well, let me say we are impacted. Yes, we say a very big thank you for making us who we are today, and may God bless the certificate for each and everyone. Thank you so much.
Just One Group has launched a program to bring Ghanaian students studying abroad back home after completing their education. The initiative targets scholars from 8 countries. Dr. Joseph Siao in Japan is urging other stakeholders to join effort to tackle the country's brain drain. Now, Moko Miraculous has the rest of the story.
The initiative will provide scholarships, internships and employment opportunities across the group's subsidiaries, including Zoom Lion Ghana Limited, as well as other companies in waste management, telecommunications, manufacturing and agriculture. The first phase targets dozens of students from 8 countries. Dr. Japon explained the rationale behind the program, stressing the urgent need for stakeholders to help curb brain drain and nurture homegrown talent.
The reason why we allow this thing to be official is that we want that we are not just trying to please ourselves as a group. We want this thing to be nationally supported. We want Ghanaians, the president, the vice president, cabinet ministers, everyone to know that we are forming this thing to bring the capacity of our Ghanaians in the diaspora home. So it's a call to bring capacity that when God has enabled you to acquire wisdom and knowledge home, there's a place for you in Ghana. And that is all why we are doing this. We want to assure them that JOSPON and all other organizations, the private sector, JOSPON, even though leading, we are humbly using this platform to invite other companies, and we will make it official that is beyond JOSPON. This is beyond JOSPON. We want every company, we're going to invite companies that will come to sponsor. And yours is that as far as many Ghanaians that are studying the diaspora are completed, how many can you absorb on internship, on capacity, so that the brains that God has enabled us to acquire outside can come home to support Ghana, for Ghana to be glorified.
Leaders of Ghanaian students in the diaspora shared insights from recent visits to JOSPON facilities, highlighting areas for collaboration in skills development, innovation, and industry exposure.
My name is Peter Walasiadam, the president of Ghanaian Students in Hungary, and also the secretary to the Ghanaian Student Scholars in Diaspora. So we were able to go to the field to look at the things that JOSPON Group companies making in the country in terms of waste management, their innovative things and all that. So we've been to the field, we've seen all that they are doing. So today is the final day where we sign an MOU that will put into perspective how implementation is going to be.
Both the students, leaders, and executives of JOSPON Group believe the initiative will play a key role in advancing Ghana's development agenda. Now, Moko Miraculous's report, read to you.
A new year is here, and as is often the case, many people are setting fresh expectations for themselves. For some members of the Victory Presby Church in Fafraha, the focus this year is personal growth, choosing to deepen their faith, draw closer to God, and hope for answers to the prayers they carry into the year. There is more in this report.
2025 was a year many won't forget in a hurry. A year of lessons, losses, prayers and perseverance. And at the Victory Congregation of the Presbyterian Church of Ghana in Fafraha, congregants gathered on the 9th of December 31 to pray their way into a new beginning.
Pray with all power, pray with all passion. The year 2026 should be your year.
As the clock ticked closer to midnight, the atmosphere inside the church shifted.
Jesus, in the mighty name of Jesus.
2026 has arrived.
I wish you a happy new year.
Cheers and thanksgiving filled the sanctuary as members crossed over with praise, belief, and renewed faith. For many congregants, the new year comes with fresh resolutions, spiritual growth, stability, better health, and breakthroughs.
Yeah, I felt it, and I know that mine this year is gonna be massive. I pray for God's, total restoration and growth. Yes.
And my New Year resolution is to grow in my walk with God, in my study and my prayer life, and also to be intentional with relationship and to be intentional with my health.
And for my New Year's resolution, I plan on coming to more YPG meetings this year.
My New Year resolution is to find out what God intends to do with my life and the purpose He has laid for me.
2026. And my resolution is I'm focusing more on my spiritual growth.
Former District Minister for Fafraha, Reverend Soa Ablo, says the new year must be filled with purpose, discipline, and total dependence on God.
That I have purposed to make Christ known and be known better. That I will search deeper into the things of God in these days. That's my resolution for the year.
Associate Minister of Victory Presby, Reverend Hannah Kranchoa Boaten, also lifted prayers for congregants and divine favor for all.
I pray that in this year, God will meet each one of us at our point of need. We are trusting God to move in a special way, to break forth and bring streams out of the desert places. For those of us who are trusting Him for His grace, as we have entered into this new year, God will meet every expectation of yours. I am trusting Him to meet my expectations, and I'm praying, saying, for you and your families.
As 2026 begins, the Victory Congregation steps forward, not just with resolutions, but with faith and trusting God for victory. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
That's all for the news here this afternoon. My name is Winston Tackett. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye-bye.